Commodore, my 64, my Commodore 64.
An opulent, mysterious, and decidedly perilous fortress sets the stage as Bruce Lee seeks to claim infinite wealth, and maybe even the secret of immortality, from the enigmatic wizard lurking within. To succeed, he'll need to punch, kick, climb, and leap his way across 20 treacherous screens, collecting lanterns while dodging bokken swings from relentless ninjas and the deadly flying kicks of the green Yamo. This is Bruce Lee, the classic 1984 platformer from Datasoft, programmed by Ron Fortier. A game that didn't just raise the bar for platformers, it kicked that bar to a whole new level and proved that a licensed game doesn't have to be a total train wreck. So don your gi, tighten that obi, and prepare to enter the dragon as we uncover the story behind one of the most iconic and enduring games of the Commodore 64 era.
Surprised?
It only seems right to start our story with the man himself, Bruce Lee. Born in 1940 in the year and hour of the dragon, Bruce Lee was a Hong Kong-American martial artist, actor, and filmmaker. Best known for 5 iconic martial arts films, he became the first global Chinese film star and remains one of the most influential figures in martial arts cinema. He also made for a pretty great superhero sidekick. Tragically, Bruce died in 1973 at the age of 32 from a brain edema, but his legacy lives on, not just in films, but in advertising, popular culture, and of course, video games. And that brings us to Datasoft. Datasoft was an ambitious software company that was founded in 1980 by Pat Ketchum in Chatsworth, California. They initially had a staff of 15 programmers, a very significant number for the time, and they developed a variety of software such as development tools, productivity apps, and educational titles. But they are predominantly known for their games. Datasoft's earliest games were mostly clones of popular titles. Pacific Coast Highway was a Frogger clone, Clowns and Balloons took cues from Circus, and Dung Beetles paid homage to Pac-Man. Later, they moved into arcade ports, converting hits like Pooyan, Pole Position, and Zaxxon to popular home computers. This experience and revenue gave Datasoft the credibility to negotiate licenses from popular franchises, leading to the games that would cement their reputation. Titles like The Goonies, Conan, Zorro, and of course Bruce Lee. In some cases, licenses were acquired before anyone even knew exactly how they would be used. Bruce Lee was one of those projects.
And when there is an opportunity, I do not hit. It hits all by itself.
Programmer Ron Fortier had just finished a Zaxxon conversion for Atari 8-bit computers. With a gap between projects, he started developing a gameplay engine for an action platformer. He wasn't sure if it would ever be used, but it gave him a chance to explore Atari's inner workings, particularly collision detection, which could be offloaded to hardware and save precious resources. After all, he only had $32K to work with. When Datasoft acquired the Bruce Lee license, the project was handed to Fortier. His engine was ready, and he could immediately start tailoring the game around 3 core mechanics: platform exploration, timing, and fighting. Memory constraints were tight, so he collaborated closely with artist Kelly Day to design the game's characters and backgrounds. Day's artwork was then animated by Fortier, who also focused heavily on game balance, aiming for that sweet spot between too easy and frustrating. He thought he nailed it, but just before it was time to release, Datasoft president Pat Garcia declared the game too difficult and asked Fortier to tone it down. Fortier obliged, but always felt the game became slightly easier than intended, a sentiment shared by some reviewers. When Bruce Lee launched for Atari in April 1984, it was an immediate success, staying near the top of the sales charts for months. Ports to other systems followed, starting with the Commodore 64. With more RAM and a faster CPU to play with, Fortier opted to write an Atari emulator rather than rewrite the code. This explains why the 64 version looks and plays so similarly, albeit faster and with richer audio thanks to our amazing SID chip. So yes, when you're playing Bruce Lee on the 64, you're basically playing an Atari. In total, Bruce Lee was released on 9 platforms, and the 64 version is generally considered to be the best of them. After Bruce Lee, Datasoft continued to have success with titles like Conan, Zorro, and the Goonies, all of which carried the DNA of Fortier's engine. But the good times wouldn't last. After losing funding from Gillette, yes, the razor company, Datasoft filed for bankruptcy in 1987, and what was left of them was eventually acquired by the Software Toolworks, followed by Mindscape. In the game, our hero, Bruce Lee of course, finds himself in a wizard's fortress. His task? Move through 20 challenging chambers and ultimately face the fire wizard. But getting there isn't easy. To unlock the next room, Bruce must gather every lamp in sight, which turns each screen into a low-key puzzle. Most lamps are right in plain sight, but every so often they're easy to miss and will send you backtracking if you're not paying attention. And if that wasn't tough enough, almost every level pits Bruce against 2 adversaries, a Bokan-wielding ninja and the stronger, more powerful Green Goro. Sometimes these enemies appear at a comfortable distance, giving you breathing room to plan your moves. Other times they're right on top of you from the start, sparking a flurry of punches, kicks, and frantic evasions. Ron Fortier actually spent a lot of time deciding exactly where and when enemies appear, which is a big part of why the game's flow feels so balanced. Fortunately, your foes are relentless but not invincible. The ninja takes 2 hits to defeat while Green Goro takes 3, and if you're in the right position, it's always satisfying to land on an enemy, knock one into a trap, or send them plummeting off a platform. Even more fun is watching enemies navigate the interactive elements of each level. They'll leap off platforms, climb trellises, and ride the moving energy fields, sometimes straight into their doom. They might not be the brightest enemies around, but you've got to credit their tenacity. And if you're looking for a real challenge with the enemies, have a friend join. A second player can take control of Goro, causing all sorts of mayhem for Bruce. And perhaps the coolest part of this mechanic? Your friend can drop out at any time. Once they stop moving the joystick for a few seconds, the computer will automatically take over. Such a forward-thinking, fun feature. The first 3 rooms are perfect for easing players into the game, but difficulty ramps up quickly. By the 4th screen, in the underground part of the fortress, you'll need perfect timing to fall past traps, avoid explosions, and most iconic of all, sprint across electrified floors. Success in Bruce Lee requires patience, quick reflexes, and perhaps most importantly, a good memory. Should you jump off this ledge or just fall? In what order should you collect the lamps? And just how do you time your jumps on those electrified floors? Practice and repetition are key, and yes, you'll lose plenty of lives along the way. Eventually, you'll master all the levels and reach the final boss, the evil fire wizard. By this point, you've defeated countless enemies, evaded traps, and even agitated a bull. Now it's showtime. Hands sweating, you dash to the right, avoiding searing fireballs shooting from his eyes. You press the joystick button and... oh, that's it? Huh, cool. The fire wizard is dead. We did it, guys! Okay, so it's not exactly the most epic boss battle in gaming history, but it's memorable, and it's followed by a pretty cool scene in a fiery chamber. But Bruce's day isn't over yet. Like most games in those days, you're sent back to the start so you can continue adding points to your score. Everything is harder on subsequent runs, but come on, you've got a high score to aim for. Bruce Lee is a complex and gorgeous game, and Kelly Day's visuals absolutely deliver. The backgrounds capture the exact vibe you'd expect from a Bruce Lee film, and the animations make the whole world feel alive. And remember, animated interactive backgrounds were not standard in 1984. Most games treated backgrounds as static wallpaper, pretty to look at but hands off. What really sells the experience though are the characters. Bruce Lee, the ninja, and Green Goro are all beautifully drawn and animated. Their movements are fast, fluid, and full of personality, and the character designs are downright charming. And of course, we can't forget this absolute unit. A surprise cameo, a majestic presence, a mooing menace. This guy wins the award for Best Bovine featured in a Commodore 64 game, and it's not even close. Fantastic mooing aside, the rest of the audio is just as impressive. Ron Fortier made full use of the SIG chip, crafting soundscapes that feel straight out of a martial arts film. Every action is accented. The whoosh of a flying kick. The thud of a landed blow. All crisp, punchy, and satisfying. But my favorite detail? Bruce's running sound. Paired with his low, almost Naruto run stance, those rapid-fire footsteps give the game a visceral sense of speed. You feel the forward momentum. And then there's the intro music. John Fitzpatrick's track is atmospheric and instantly evokes the tone of a classic martial arts epic. It sets the stage beautifully for everything that follows. The Commodore 64 Appreciation Society absolutely adores Bruce Lee, and we're definitely not alone. Like a well-choreographed martial arts film, Bruce Lee landed a steady stream of clean hits with the gaming press. Zap64 awarded it a 92%, calling it a classic platform game with addictive action. Home Computing Weekly gave it 4 out of 5, saying that it deserves to be a success, and Commodore Computing praised it with 18 out of 20 stars. Across the board, reviewers were enthusiastic, and the game's reputation has only grown stronger with time. Even decades later, Bruce Lee still holds up. It regularly appears on Best of the C64 lists, and on Lemon 64, currently ranked the 43rd best game of all time. Not bad for a 40-year-old martial arts platformer. And the tributes haven't stopped. Fans have kept the flame burning with everything from a Windows remake in 2005 to a Game Boy port in 2003 to the Sega Master System finally getting its own version in 2015. Then, in 2013, an unofficial sequel, Bruce Lee 2, appeared on Windows, and a few years later it got its own Commodore 64 port as well. The fact that people are still making new versions of a 1980s platformer says everything about its lasting appeal. Bruce Lee endures because it moves like few games of its era, fluid, focused, and confident in every step. Its tight controls, inventive level design, expressive animation, and clever blend of action and puzzle solving come together with a kind of effortless grace. It's a game that rewards patience, timing, and adaptability, and when everything clicks, you feel yourself settling into a rhythm, a flow that still feels remarkable today.
Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. And if you have any memories of Bruce Lee, or perhaps some suggestions for games you'd like to see us cover here at the Appreciation Society, please drop them in the comments. Hope to see you again.